Previously on To Afloat, what do you think the problem is?
It's a short.
Starboard engine won't start. Now Ryan is down in that compartment.
The wires carrying positive current was pressed up against a nut, and the engine vibration just shoots it through the insulation, which then put positive current into the body of the solenoid, which is grounded to the engine, and that created the short. Okay, this is a starter motor. You have this sort of solenoid and magnetic switch on top, and then you have the motor itself on the bottom. So think of this as a switch, but instead of flipping it with your hand, you flip it with current. And then you can have a much bigger wire running down here that would run the starter and ultimately carry the current from the alternator back up to the batteries. We don't know whether it's this piece that's broken or whether it's the motor that's broken from the short. So what we're gonna do is find out whether it's the motor, the switch, or both that are broken. And the way we're gonna do that, then we're gonna hook up electricity to here, and we're gonna watch to see if this shoots forward. If this shoots forward, then we know that that magnetic sort of clutch is working. This clip is connected to the frame, which goes to ground, and this is connected to a red wire which has a fuse on it, and it has an alligator clip which Nicole is gonna connect to a clean positive power source.
3, 2, 1.
And off. Okay, so we know that that part works.
All right.
The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure these two poles, because this is where the power goes in, and this is where the power comes out. If the switch is working, then when Nicole puts power into the solenoid, current should be able to flow through those, and when she takes the power off, it should go back to infinite resistance, meaning no current. Right now you see a 1 on the screen. That means infinite resistance. So we're going to test it by putting the two probes together, which now shows 0 resistance, meaning that current can flow between these probes. I'm touching one post and I'm touching the other post, and it still says 1. When Nicole puts current into the switch, if it's working, it should go to 0.
3, 2, 1.
And it goes to 0. So that means that this entire piece is working, the switch and the clutch, onto the engine. So yeah, we burned out the motor badly. There's all kinds of scorch marks.
It stinks.
This isn't just brush residue.
There's this like gooey, crusty part. It just burned right into the bolt. Wow, I just can only imagine how hot this was.
We cooked it, and I think what happened was the burn mark that we see from the initial short circuit was connected to the part of the post that goes to the motor. So as soon as that wire shorted to the motor probably just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. I wouldn't be surprised if it was red hot. So this motor is destroyed, and tomorrow we get to go buy a new one.
At least it happened here in the marina. Power to starboard is on! He did it! We just needed a new starter. No sparks, no unusual noises, started right away. Wow, man! And what? You fixed it, the engine starts.
We fixed it.
We fixed it, but you're the brains.
If I get a kiss for the starter, what do I get if I like fix the rigging?
Go mirror.
Pull my rope, I fix the rigging. Trim my sail.
One of the reasons why I love him so much, his humor. Come on, babe. Okay, let's leave.
Okay.
Stern is off.
Stern is off.
I am on.
You're on.
Not over yet. This next section, it's kind of like a bonus. We didn't really know where to put it into the piece. It didn't fit very well. We found it very interesting, so we hope you do too.
There's a real big problem out here because mostly Asian, but also some other countries' fishing fleets come in here and they basically pillage. They're allowed to fish in the international waters, but what they do is they turn on their beacons that shows the position of their boat when they're outside of French Polynesian waters, and you'll see the track, and it goes right to the edge of the French Polynesian waters. Then the beacon turns off.
then it turns on again way on the other side as if they'd gone a straight line across. And you know, of course you can't prove that they're fishing, except recently one of their boats ran aground in one of the atolls in the Tuamotus inside French Polynesian territorial waters. And when it ran aground, they opened up the hold, and sure enough, it was packed full of fish, and sharks especially, which means that a great number of these boats presumably are fishing illegally and just absolutely pillaging and raping basically the French Polynesia's resources in the sea. It's heartbreaking. And then they have the audacity to come into port here in Papeete to offload their cargo, and they ship it back to the Asian countries. So they come in here, pillage the resources, don't really contribute anything, do it illegally, and then just send it all out of the country. Here's one of those boats right now. As you can see, it's perfectly trimmed, clearly skippered by an experienced crew.